This is a free preview of our FlutterFlow course on how to build a plant identification app using AI. In this video, you're going to learn how to deploy your FlutterFlow app to the App Store. Let's get straight into it.
Okay, so as a paid account is necessary to continue from this point onwards, I have now moved my project over to my Pro account. And now we'll be moving on to mobile deployment, and also we'll be deploying our push notifications. And actually, when you're setting things up in the App Store, in App Store Connect and the Apple developer account, the things that you need to set up for mobile deployment and also for push notifications, a lot of them are happening in the same section. So it actually makes sense, at least to me, to do these things at the same time. Now we'll start by going to push notifications, enable push notifications, and deploy. Okay, great. Easy as that. And I see I have an error in the project. It's a Firestore setup error. Actually, sometimes what happens in FlutterFlow, it might be custom code, it might be a cloud function. They need to be redeployed periodically. In this case, it's our Firestore index, and it's just a matter of hitting the deploy button. That'll solve this error. So now we have to head over to the Apple developer account. And I will say, by the way, that everything that I'm going to be doing in this next section follows the documentation in FlutterFlow. So you just need to come here to the Apple App Store deployment section of the FlutterFlow docs and follow the guides. They're really, really good guides, and they'll take you right through the whole process. And the first thing that it talks about is grabbing our bundle identifier. So remember when we set this application up at the very, very start, we set up this package name. And as I said, this is a really, really important string because we are going to need it in Firebase and also for Apple and also for Google. So this is where that is going to come in. We're going to head over to the developer account and we go here under certificates, IDs, and profiles. We click on identifiers and I'll make a new identifier. Now it'll be pre-selected with app ID. So I'll continue. I want an app. And then this is where I paste in my bundle ID. As well as this, I give the app a description. And the other thing that I need to do is actually in the same screen, I'm going to say that this app has push notifications. So search for push notifications and tick the push notifications box. This is also where you would tick the box for sign in with Apple if you were using sign in with Apple. Okay, so we'll continue. And then we just click register. Okay, and in addition to that, we're also going to create another one. And this one is actually just for push notifications. And we use the bundle ID again in the same way. But for the description, I actually need to type the string image notification. And then I'll copy this and I'll paste it onto the end of this bundle ID. So it's com.keely.flora.image notification. And I'll go for continue again. This is just something else we need to do to make the push notifications work properly. And now I can head over to App Store Connect. Now another thing that I need is an API key. So I need to head up here to Users and Access. Come over to Integrations. And I'm going to add a new key here. You'll actually only have one chance to download this API key. So we'll download it here. And now I have this key on my local machine. I'm also going to need another kind of key, and this one for push notifications. So I'll head back to the Apple developer account and now certificates, identifiers, and profiles, keys, and add a new key. I'll give this key a name, and I'm going to give it Apple Push Notification Service, and continue, and register. And again, I'm going to download this key to my local machine. Okay, now let's put these keys where they need to be. Over here in FlutterFlow, I'm going to go to mobile deployment. And in the App Store section, there's an area here that says upload private key. This is where this first key goes. And the second key that we downloaded, the one from the developer account, is going to go into Firebase. For this one, I come up here to project overview, project settings, and then I go to this tab here, cloud messaging. And I scroll down and I find the Flora iOS application. And right here, the APN key. This is what we need. So you can upload that here. And this section also asks for a key ID. This is the key we just created, so I can grab it from right here. And I'll paste that in there. And now I just need my team ID. And this time it's up here under membership details. And I'll grab that. Okay, and I'll paste it in here and upload. Okay, now in App Store Connect, I'm going to add a new app. iOS, give it a name, choose a language. The SKU can actually just be your bundle ID. We'll go for full access. And for this bundle ID field, this is what I just created in the Apple developer account, and go for create. Great, now I have my app set up, and I'm going to need to add a few of the details from this app into my FlutterFlow console in order to deploy the current version that I have. So let's see what fields I need from FlutterFlow. Okay, so I need the app ID. This will come from App Store Connect. And over here, I go to app information, and it's right here, Apple ID. Paste that in there. Now I need this key ID up here in users and access, integrations, and the key ID that I created not long ago. So I'll paste that in here, and then one to go, the issuer ID. This also comes from App Store Connect and the same place, and it's up here, just above where we got the last key. Paste that in there. Okay, and now we're ready to deploy to App Store. Before we do that, it's good to give a version to the application bundle, and in our case, this will just be 0.0.1. Nice, so let's deploy to App Store. And it'll take a little while to submit the bundle to the App Store. So this is usually a good time to take a break. And you can come back and check the build status. For me, it usually takes around 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, so my build is finished and it was successful. If you do get an error at this stage, that's perfectly normal. The process of setting all of this up with the App Store Connect and the developer accounts is fairly complex. So just read through the error and there will usually be some indication of what went wrong. It's probably a setting misconfigured somewhere. So now we'll head over to App Store Connect, and there are a lot of fields to fill out before we can submit the app to the App Store. For previews and screenshots, this is actually something that FlutterFlow can help you with. The rest of it, there's all kinds of resources online to help you get through it. I'm not going to go through all of this in this course. I'm just going to take things as far as TestFlight. So since FlutterFlow sent the build to App Store Connect, we now have our version, which we did tag as 0.0.1. There is a missing compliance check here. I can do that real quick. It's just for encryption. I generally take the second option here. And no, my app will not be available in France. So we've got ready to submit. That's good. And I can go into the build. Now, the first person to test the app on a device is generally going to be you. So you're probably going to be part of users and access up here. But of course, it's important to make sure that the App Store account you're using here is the same App Store account that you're logged into with your iPhone. And in my case, I actually have a work account and a personal account. So I need to add my personal Apple account to users and access so that I can use the app on my phone. Back in this screen, I go to internal testing and I'll give the group a name. We'll call it beta testers. And now I can add myself to the testers list. Okay, great. And now I'll get an email to my personal account. And this will tell me to download TestFlight if I don't have it already, and I'll be able to install the app on my phone. So I can head into my email and go for TestFlight. And now I have this email telling me that I can view this in TestFlight. And I just need to accept it, install. Okay, and now I have my shiny new Flora application. App development is of course an iterative process, and I've made a few tweaks for the next version of this application. First off, just a small one. In a list view, it's possible to add something called an empty list widget. All you need to do is toggle on this empty list widget option, and then you can just choose a component. And the component I'm using, it's super simple. It's just one message where you pass the message in as a parameter. And so then back here in home, I'm able to pass in that message and say that the message is no plants yet. And you can style this like you can style any component. The next thing I've done is made things a little bit more interesting in the plant onboarding screen. And what I've done is I've added an extra action, which pops up a dialog as a loading screen. And in this loading screen, there's an animation. And I can do that using another type of dialog called a custom dialog. And here I'm passing in another component, and it's called plant scanner. And this plant scanner component uses a type of animation called a Lottie animation. And Lottie animations they're just JSON files. And this particular animation I've grabbed from a website where there are a lot of stock Lottie animations called lottiefiles.com. So you can just go to lottiefiles.com and there's a whole bunch of preset animations that you can grab to make your apps, things like loading screens, a bit more interesting. I've also done a bit of housekeeping. I've gone into the app assets and I've given a background color to the splash screen. And these are the sort of tweaks that would warrant another version of the mobile application. So in this case, I can just go ahead and go for version 0.02 and hit deploy to App Store. And now things are going to be a whole lot smoother. So this new version will just pass through to TestFlight quite seamlessly. And you can do this over and over in an iterative process until you're very happy with the app and you're ready to submit it to the App Store for review. Now, I realize I haven't talked a great deal about push notifications during this course. And the truth is that that's just because this particular app doesn't really lend itself to push notifications all that much. I think what you could do in this early version of this application is just use push notifications as a marketing tool. And for that, it's really very simple because FlutterFlow actually lets you trigger notifications manually from here in the console. I sent a test one about 20 minutes ago, and let's do that again. And we can just give it the title of test, notification text of test. You can actually add a notification image as well. You can also send the notification to specific users based on their Firebase ID, and you can set a deep link page. And in this case, just to prove the point, we could go for something like privacy policy, send notification, and it will just ask you to type in the text, send notification. And now this will arrive to the phone. And when I tap it, it will open the correct page. There is, of course, a lot more that you can do with notifications. But real quick, one of the really important features in FlutterFlow is that there is an action for notifications. So if I just put an action here and I search for notifications, there's one here called trigger push notification. And here you can do this as an action. So let's say, for example, you had messaging inside of your app. You could use this trigger so that when a user sends a message, the recipient gets a notification about that message. And of course, there's lots of documentation and tutorials on YouTube that go through this in a lot more depth as well. So it's another thing that you can play around with. So the app is now installed on my iPhone, so I can open it up. Got my splash screen animation, and I will go ahead and sign up for an account with Google. Okay. So now I've got my list of plants. I can open the side drawer, take a look at my terms and conditions. That's fine. I can also go to my profile and yeah, I've got my different profile pieces and I can change my profile photo and name and stuff. And now I'll go ahead and add a plant. I actually have a plant here. It's from my garden and it's a plant that I've never actually learned the name of. So I'm curious to see what it's going to be. So I'll just go ahead and take a photo of it. Let's find out what it is. I got my Lottie animation going now. Now it's talking to GPT at the moment. And here we go. All right. Echeveria. A popular succulent. It's certainly a succulent with a rosette shape. Okay, that looks good. It looks like the temperature range is good. Water sparingly. All right, nice. So that looks good. I'll give it a really original name. Let's call it Plenty. And now I can go into my detail page. And the other thing that I can do is the health assessment. So let's give that a try as well. I see some branding tips on the leaves there, so I wonder if it'll say anything about that. Succulent with, branding leaf tips and rot. Oh, the rot doesn't sound great. Likely due to overwatering or poor drainage. Honestly, I don't think I put it in the right type of soil. It's amazing that it's lasted this long. I haven't been giving it much care. So this is cool. So I can read through this and have a think about how I can make this plant better. Okay, looks good. And that's the application. It seems to be working. And I'm happy with that.
Thank you for watching. To get access to the full course on how to build this plant identification AI app, other FlutterFlow tutorials, and hours of tutorials on other no-code tools, go to nocode.mba.